Okay, this is the podcast episode with Jill Foubister. So, hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Mediums podcast. I am super pumped to have the awesome business coach, or intuitive coach, I should say, Jill Foubister with us today. So, Jill, welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I love it. I just love it. I love talking to other intuitives. So, I have to know, how have your gifts revealed yourself? Like, I know a bit about you, but you've had some incredible intuitive gifts your whole life. But how did you know that you were an intuitive? How did it all work for you?
Yeah. So I actually didn't know oh, this is intuition. It was more of just, as a young little girl, I had extremely powerful, intense dreams. And I was raised in a house where it was, what did you dream about? What did you dream about? And the more I tuned and really listened to my dreams from I'm talking 3 years old, then I kept diving into this. And then I started hearing, voices clairaudient. And I could tell that voice is not my voice. It's something else. And there were quite a few instances, but there was actually one moment, and it was that I just confirmed it for me. Do you want me to share it?
Yeah, of course. Of course we do. Yes.
Okay. So I was about 11 years old, and I was the biggest fan of the Olsen twins. And
Love
and so again, this is 90s, late 90s. And I was in a bookstore, and it was late at night, and no one else was in the children's section because I was in the youth section. And I started to leave and exit the aisle. And as I was walking away from the aisle, I heard something fall off the shelf of the books aisle. And my back was to it. And I had a choice in that moment that I could turn around or keep walking. And I heard a voice say, turn around. And it had more of a masculine voice to it.
Ooh.
And I turned around, and it was a book. And I was like, wait a minute. I wasn't even in that part of the aisle. And then I went to the book, I picked it up, and it was an Olsen twin book, which I thought I was the biggest fan, but I didn't even know they had a book series. And anyways, I flipped to the back, and it was all about how you could meet them and sail with them. And it was actually in that moment that when I heard that voice and a book just randomly fell off the shelf of how did this happen? I got to figure this out. And I was 11 years old. So I'd say right around there is when I kept there was that voice again. And
Yeah.
then I would just tune in and try and figure it out. So I left the youth section of the bookstore and started going into the new age store, which was this much.
Right. Especially in the 90s.
In the 90s, there were 5 books.
Yeah, and now you can get books. I mean, everyone under the sun has written a spirituality or universal laws book or something,
Right.
Love it. So you realized, okay, I have some amazing gifts. I've got some things that are unique to me. How did you then, as you grew up and got older, decide to do something with them business related? How did you make the switch from I have these gifts and I'm using them in my life, and now I want to use them to help other people?
Well, here was the big thing for me was I didn't see them as a gift. I actually thought everyone had this. And so I thought this was normal because it was my normal. And I thought the dreams that I was having, and I knew in dream time, I would astro travel and go to these incredible places, and they would feel like home. And I was awake within my dreams. So I actually thought that was normal for everyone. And it wasn't until I think I went off to college that then it hit me oh, wait, you're not awake when you're dreaming? And then there was another thing that took place of I would say oh, that little voice that you hear, but it's not the one in your head. It's these other voices that come in, and then these visions, and no. People were what are you talking about? And it was during that process, I was creating a toolbox, a spiritual toolbox for myself. And I realized other people didn't have that. They didn't have things to pull from when they needed clarity, when they wanted to create something or manifest something. And I just was oh my goodness. And my dreams and that tug just kept telling me you've got to share this information because everyone's intuitive. They just don't even know it. So
yes,
that's
you
really
help people should I say you help people awaken their intuitive gifts?
Yes, I help them awaken it. And my big thing is about increasing their frequency as we're ascending from 3D to 5D. And it helps
Okay,
give
so
them,
people that
yeah,
don't know what that means, because
yeah,
I feel that too. I absolutely feel like everything is happening for us. Like even the challenges that we're going through in this world right now, like it's all happening to raise our vibrational energy and raise the vibration of the planet, I think.
absolutely. Oh,
So when people
100%. Yeah.
say 3D to 5D, can you tell them what that means?
Yeah. So when I say 3D to 5D, I think the looks I usually get are people think like, are we going to a different dimension? And
Yeah,
it's
what's
like,
going to
well,
happen?
okay, it's not like we're going to be on a spaceship and go somewhere else. It's actually finding more freedom and expansion in the mind as we expand our consciousness. So it's not so much a destination we're going, it's finding more space and freedom in our mind and returning to who we truly are on a soul level. And we do that we are, as we're ascending, it's not so much about the 3D that we're in. Yes, okay, we are in the physical 3D,
Yeah.
but there's so much more, as you know, there's so much more around us. And as that, you hear the thing saying like the veil is thinning,
Yes.
people are waking up, they're starting to see that. And it's seeing the unseen that's all around you. And that really is about the journey of returning to who you truly are, because we're ascending and so is our Mother Earth. And it's
Yes,
this
exactly.
cycle that we go through thousands and thousands of years. And so right now we're on the part of returning to awakening.
I love that. And for somebody like you who's been recognizing and knowing your intuitive gifts your whole life, I've been really intuitive, like highly, like I would just know things. But for me, it came like a stroke out of nowhere. Like looking back, it really wasn't out of nowhere. But about 3.5 years ago, I started being able to talk to my dead grandpa and then other people's, dead relatives and their angels and guardian angels. And it kind of happened like a swoosh and totally changed my life. And so for you, you're like, I've been living this way my whole life. And so for me, it's like a true waking up, like, whoa, I came from corporate America. What's going on? This is crazy, you
Yes.
know? So I love that you have that. So how do they show up for you? Like what types of clairs do you have? Like what are the strongest ones for you? Like how does this connection to the spiritual world show up for you personally?
Yeah, so I'd say my strongest clairs is definitely clairaudient and clairvoyant. So I can see, I get visions, and especially in dream time, as well as they're so vivid. And then also I can hear, as well as clairsentient, which is I can feel a lot. And if I'm not
Yeah.
managing my own energy and finding my center, and I'm picking up on other people's stuff, I can go all over the place. So that's a lot about like I gotta find my center. Um, and then I'm basically all the clairs, but I don't taste. I've never done that
I don't
one.
either. Very
Right?
rarely. Very
Yeah.
rarely. But I'm like see like more my mind's eye. So when people say like, "Oh, I'm clairvoyant," like I think people think that means you're going to actually see dead people or see shape. And some people do, but it can also just mean you see it like a movie or a picture in your
Yes.
mind's eye. Like for me, when I'm connecting with my guides or doing readings for people, it's like a game of charades. And they're like showing me pictures and it's like flashcards. They're like, this thing, say this thing. And so I view that as clairvoyant, being able to see things, but seeing in my mind's eye. But do you
Yeah.
actually see like auras, colors, things like that? Do you actually
Yeah.
physically see things?
So I physically see auras. And for the longest time, I didn't know that was an aura because it was normal for me. I would just tell my parents, like, gosh, I just can't see Susie today. Like her face is so cloudy. And it wasn't until I had said that to my mom that, I think I was like in second grade. And I was like, it's just hard to see her face. There's so much clouds around it, like fog. And so I was seeing it as fog. And my mom was just like, oh my gosh, you see auras. And I'm like, what's an aura? And then I was like, cool. And just went about, when you're 8 years old, 7 years old. But the other way I see it, I see a few different, definitely the way where you're saying like it, the visions and like just the mind's eye. 100%. I get that as well. The other thing is I'll see things where it's as if someone took a highlighter and they highlight something around someone or
Oh,
something.
wow.
So for
Yeah.
example, if I'm shopping and, oh wait, this one's a better example. I was getting ready to go on a vacation and I've got a little one and I literally was packing the car and I saw the stroller and I was like, oh, I don't want to bring the stroller. Stroller takes up too much space. And all of a sudden I saw as if someone took a highlighter and highlighted the stroller and it was like a goldish, like see-through color. And I was like, oh, that means I got to take it. No,
Yep.
I don't want to take it. But that's an example. Like it gets highlighted.
Yeah.
And then I've also seen like just like symbols in people's auric fields. And then there was another one. Oh, my dog has seizures and I'll see him. And then right before he has one, I'll see like a him on top of it. Like you're talking about like a
Oh,
movie
sure.
screen. And then it has the seizure. He'll have the seizure in the vision and then it shortly happens.
So does that happen with other things for you too, where you can almost see ahead of time what's going to happen, the psychic side of things, where you can be like, oh my gosh, I know this is going to happen. I get an intuitive hit that whether it's like I take a different car route home or all the different ways that you can get intuitive hits to like give you warning signs of what the future might be, good or bad.
Sometimes, and most of the times when I get them, I don't know what they mean.
Do you
Like,
trust them? Do you trust them
do,
though, or
like,
not? You do. Okay.
Oh, I trust that they come in, but I'll be like, I don't know what that was supposed to mean. Like, I'm like, I don't know. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because if I get too much into the, I need to know this and figure it out now, I've now just like, it's not being filtered through my intuition. It's now being distorted and like filtered through my ego.
That's right.
And so I'm like, I don't understand what it meant. I'm okay with it. We'll write it down. And when I'm ready, I'll figure it out. Like it'll finally come. But sometimes I feel like it's like little seeds being planted. But yes.
Yeah, I
totally
feel like they'll show me like the right next step. Like I've gotten to a place where I'm like, I don't need to see the whole picture either. At first I did. I was like, what does that mean? Show me all of the steps of what's right for me. And now I'm like, show me the next right step. What is the best thing for my highest and best good? And then sometimes they'll guide me to do something that the world might say is a failure or didn't work out. And they were telling me to do it. And at first I'd be like, what? Why are you telling me that? Why did you tell me to go do that thing that didn't work out? And now I'm like, okay, why? What am I supposed to learn? And I think that's like good advice for people too. So I don't know what you think about that, or if you had feedback around that of like not needing to see everything that you're meant to do, like show your next step. And then sometimes I feel like, did you lie to me? Because you told me green light, go and do it. And then it didn't go the way I wanted. And they're like, well, it was because you were supposed to learn something. So of course we're going to tell you to do it. You know?
Absolutely. I think everything is just filled with our growth and lessons and things that need to come up for us to see it so we can move through it and beyond it. And I think that, and I love what you said about just the next step, because for example, when I started my business, if my guides would have showed me my entire path and what I would have created within 1 year, I think it would have freaked out my nervous system, and my whole tonal and ego would have been like, can't do this. No way. That's not me. And I'm so grateful for that, because when I reflect back, I go, I'm just happy I took one step at a time, which allowed me to grow to hold that new frequency and then to the next frequency, because I would have then put on an expectation. I would have had an attachment of, I need to make that vision what I just saw happen, which can like pull you out of the joy of the journey.
I think that too, when people are like manifesting love, you know, like business results or love or like something that's really big to them. And they're like, I want it exactly like this and this and this and this. And I'm like, I don't know if you feel like this, but I get guidance all the time from my guides and their guides when I'm doing readings. And they're like, they're blocking their blessings. They're blocking their blessings because they're like wanting it such a specific way. And I was taught to say this or something better. Is a great way to manifest. So I don't know if you use that trick or you teach your clients to do that trick, but sometimes we think that what we want is this narrow box, and actually the possibility is so much bigger than that. But we've put ourselves in this exact box. Like the guy has to have dark hair and be from San Jose, and you know what I mean? Like, so we get this like really rigid box of what it's meant to be, but it might actually be something even better than what we've imagined if we open
Oh,
ourselves to the blessings.
absolutely. Because we don't know what we don't know. And there's there, like you said, could be something even better waiting for us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to ask you, you mentioned if I let people's energy come into my force field or I don't center myself, it
Hmm.
can mess with me. Tell me a little bit about what that means for you. And then I have a fun follow-up question.
Okay. So I'm going to, okay, I've got two ways we can go with this. One is I'm going to do this one. So I used to do healings. I used to do Reiki healings on people. And um, when I would do a healing on them, I would take on whatever pain that they had in their body. And instead of like, putting on my shield and protecting my auric field,
Yes.
whatever pain they had in their body, it literally went into my body. And so then I would carry that around. Another one, especially if you're a coach, if you're coaching someone and they're having to release something like a limiting belief of I'm not good enough, if I'm not aware that that's their stuff, I might take on that belief and think that belief is actually mine. And then I can then start walking around of like, yeah, why am I doing this? I'm not even good enough. Who's going to listen in? What am I doing?
Mm,
And so there's something about like, I have to find my center, come back to like my point of who I am, knowing like when I'm coaching or working on someone, it is that's their stuff. And I'm not to be the sponge and absorb it. Otherwise,
yeah.
now I'm literally carrying around everyone else's stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally get that. I had to learn, like when I first started doing readings for people, I was like, oh my Lord, I'm so exhausted. I'm so
Yes.
tired. I'm so drained. I use these to help ground me. I put them in my hands sometimes when I'm doing readings for people, like just things that help me kind of ground and not take on other people's energy or, channeling. When I'm channeling, it takes a lot of energy to like connect
Yeah.
with their guardian angels and loved ones and whatnot. But I'm the same. I had to really learn how to like ground and connect. Okay, so I
Yes.
have a fun follow-up question for you, Jill. I know that you love Disneyland. You're a
Oh
big
my gosh.
Disney fan, which I feel like we could talk about forever because it's my favorite place. Other than my parents' cabin in northern Minnesota, Disneyland, not world, land.
Yes.
Disneyland is my favorite place in the whole world. And I am like from the rope drop to the end of the night, I don't care. We're like, eat a corn dog, make it happen. We're doing it. Okay. So when you're in an environment like that and something that you love, like, oh my gosh, I
Yep.
love going there, but you are in a force field of
I, I love where you're going with this.
everybody's energy. So
Yep.
how do you show up in a place like that, like a big concert or
Okay.
Disneyland or something
Okay.
where
So,
everybody is? And how do you protect your energy and still have an awesome time?
okay. Love that you asked this question. I actually was going to share this. So
Oh,
I'm
I
so
love it.
happy.
Well, of course. Weird.
Okay, so obviously when I go to first off, I when you go to a big place like Disneyland, as you know, there's so many different energies. When I'm there, the first thing obviously is when I'm in the park, I'm not tuning to people's energy. I'm actually tuning to the land of actually being at the Disney, the magic of that. That's the first thing. The other thing, well, there's actually something I do before that. I actually have like a fanny pack that I always have with me. So even if I'm on a ride, I'm in line, it never leaves me. And in that fanny pack, I have a little bit of sage. No, I'm not walking around actually burning the face. It's just Amy.
Saging little children's ice cream cones.
That I am covered in my crystals. And then I also walk around with magnetite. Magnetite is
Oh,
also
nice.
protecting and keeping me grounded. And so I'm not absorbing other people's energy. And even when you're in line and you're in that, there's someone just like right there.
Yeah.
No, I have my tools in my fanny pack. No one knows they're there. They're my little rocks and crystals that I carry. And their intention that I have programmed them to do is I have a big white bubble around me. And no one else's energy is coming into my auric field. So
That's
that
right.
is what I do.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't do all those other cool things, but I do put myself in a bubble of light and I'm like it's my armor. I'm like, you are my
Yeah.
armor today. Like stay
Yeah.
around me and protect me. Okay, so what is magnetite for people that don't know what that is? Like, what does it look like? What type of crystal or stone is it? Like, how do you explain that? And then how do you use it? So, is it a certain color and certain colors help certain things? So
Yeah,
you do this in your podcast too. So I encourage everybody to go check out the Intuitive Frequency podcast. You cover a lot of this stuff, but can you give us like the tiny Cliff Notes version of it?
Yeah, so obviously we're multidimensional electromagnetic luminous light beings. Okay, so obviously that's a mouthful. But magnetite, because you're also magnetic, so is magnetite. That's going to help you when I kept saying, like, I got to find my center. I got
Yes.
to be in my zone, and like quiet that monkey mind before I'm around anyone else. Because if I'm not centered, then if I go out and connect, even just like this, I not only bring my stuff, but then I'm like, if whatever's going on with someone else, then I get it crisscrossed. So
Yeah.
magnetite helps you find your center, keeps you grounded. And because it's magnetic and so are you, it is literally just pulling you to the earth and bringing you right
I
to
love
center.
that.
So I have it all over our house. I'm also wearing it, but this is like, it's hard to see. So I
Yeah, I
also
can see
wear
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes. Beautiful.
not these little ones. It's going to be these. So again, I have it always I'm wearing it. I usually keep it in pockets. I have them on all my window seals except for this one, which has hematite. But my magnetite, I'm like looking at it. I'm like, it's right there.
Nice.
It looks like a rock, just a rock that you would be like, it's just a rock, not a crystal. Like it's not a pretty, like, sparkly. It's like kind of just gray.
Yeah. Perfect. But it does its job. It does its job. Okay, so I have another question for you. So if you could like take your magic wand, your Disneyland wand, and tap any person in the world to like help them wake up to their own intuitive gifts, like who would you tap? Who would you be like, oh my gosh, tap. I'm going to tap you with the ability to enhance your intuitive gifts.
Oh my goodness, who would I want? Oh, oh, that's a great question. Who would I want?
Because you happen to have a lot of people in your personal life that are really high vibe, highly intuitive people. So you seem to like go in a pack of intuitives. Like you're not swimming upstream by yourself very often.
No. I feel very, maybe, I don't know if this sounds, I don't want it to be taken as anything bad, just more of like, I think anyone who's working with children.
Oh, I love that.
Because if it's, and I don't mean it in a bad way or anything, just anyone who works with children so they can help keep the intuitive door open for our children. Because they already come in intuitive, they already come in the 5D, and it's just the way that that door can get closed if it's not fostered.
I love that. Yeah, it's such a pretty answer. I love it. And you are a mama. You got 2 kiddos. Yes. For all of the parents out there that are listening to this, I was one of those parents where I was like, I'm waking up, I'm getting these spiritual gifts, but I don't want to freak my kid out. So I'm going to like kind of keep them in my own bubble till I feel like it's the right time. And from what I know about you, you've just kind of lived your life incorporating these things in with your children. So like, what advice do you have for parents to help them if they've been a little fearful of talking about these spiritual gifts, this intuitive world with their children? Like, how would you coach a parent?
Well, first thing to note is just like your kids are already intuitive. And they're probably more intuitive than you are, because if you think about it, they've been in their bodies a lot, like they've been in this 3D dimension a lot less time than you and I.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
And so because they have been on the other side, from depending on how old your child is, but let's just say 4 or 10, and obviously, so they've spent less time. They are intuitive. And the big thing is to never push it on them. Let them have that freedom to discover. Kids are always watching you. They're listening and watching, but they also watch how you show up and behave. My kids see me do my things with my crystals and my artifacts or altars that we have around. And if they want to create one too, I go, of course you can. I don't say, hey, it's time to create an altar. It's more of like, if they want one, sure. What do you want to put on it? A unicorn? Love it. That's awesome. Does it make you happy? Yes. Great. The other thing is to begin to like talk to them about it every morning. What did you dream about? what did you dream about? Like understanding and diving into the world of the dreams is one of my favorite spiritual tools. It's the gift my mom gave me, and to pass it on to your kids is so wonderful because it's a lot easier for like spirit guides, angels to communicate to you through dream time than it is during wake time. Well, when I say wake time, it's like
Yeah.
this.
Yes,
And
exactly.
because you're just so much more open when you're asleep.
Yeah,
So if you
it's very
start
true.
to hone in on that, well, then you're going to start to recognize it in our wake time because you're actually
Yes,
more awake in
totally.
dream time. Yeah.
Like when I finally had the courage, my daughter's 9, almost 10. And when I finally had the courage to be like, okay, I need to tell her, like, I'm not only just doing these readings privately. So for several years, I did readings for people all over the world, but just privately because I was in the corporate world and I didn't want my worlds to merge. I just wasn't ready. And I didn't want to lose my job and all the things. But now that I'm like really publicly out there in this world, I was like, I got to tell my kid out. It's time. And so we were laying in bed and I was telling her, I was like, well, mommy has these really awesome, extraordinary gifts that I can talk to people's loved ones when they've passed away and gone to heaven. And I can see things that'll happen in the future and help people so that they can make, the right choice for them on their path in life. And I just want to see if you had any questions. And she goes, Mama, I can do that too. And I was like, oh, what? And so, of course, I asked her, she's like, it'll be things like the teacher, she'll teach me a lesson. And I was like, we learned that yesterday. We already had this lesson. Like, I already had the lesson and then I'm learning it again. And she goes, it's kind of weird because it doesn't seem like anyone else has learned the lesson. And then she said things like, for instance, in my classroom, kids will be over here, but then I'll see them over there and then they're back over here again, Mom. And so she's like telling me
Wow.
all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and I was scared to talk to you. Like, that's so crazy. How silly is that?
Oh
You
my
know?
gosh, I love that.
Yeah. And she's named after my husband's grandmother who passed away a little less than a year ago. And I could feel when one night I was putting her to bed and I could feel her. I feel people's loved ones. I feel angel energy on my legs and arms, like tingliness, but I feel deceased loved ones like pressure on my chest that just shows up physically in a different form so I can tell the difference. And I could feel her, like she's telling me Leela is here. And then right when I felt her, my daughter's like, Mommy, my chest hurts. And I was like, oh my gosh, she feels this too. Like she has this. So I say to her grandmother, if you're helping her feel your presence, can you lighten the load? Like lift it a
Oh,
little? It's intense for her. And
yeah.
so they did. And she goes, oh, I just felt better. Like, and these are all things I'm having in my head, but I'm not saying out loud to her, but like, just
Yeah.
saying that might be your grandma Leela coming around to say hi. So if you feel that and it feels too heavy, just tell them to loosen up a little, lighten up a little. So, but it's fun to like think, oh my gosh, I'm going to raise this kid in a totally different way than I was raised in terms of that
Oh, yeah.
intuitiveness. Like I have amazing parents, but just like a more traditional upbringing, if you will.
Totally. Totally. And it's so exciting because these kids, the children that are coming in today, they really are here to be part of this whole journey of ascending. So it's really exciting.
And I think they're like going to teach us more than we're going to teach them. Like, she's my best teacher so many times.
Right? In so many things.
Yeah. Where you're like, okay, you're right. Getting a little insight from you, kid. Okay. So tell me about, I'm going to do some fun rapid fire questions. I'm going to take a drink here quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to do some rapid fire questions. Like these are a few of my favorite things, kind of from The Sound of Music. Okay.
Okay.
So, what is your favorite food?
Oh, avocados.
What? You can't
Wait,
be
what do you
serious.
mean? Wait,
That's
you
your
don't like
favorite food? I hate
Well,
them.
no. Oh my gosh, everything has to have avocado on it.
I know. I feel like you're either an avocadoer or a not avocadoer. There's like nothing in between. You don't just kind of like it. Either you're like, ugh,
No.
mush, or you're like, best thing ever.
Best thing ever.
So do you avocado toast, whatever, all the things, put it on your salad?
Oh yeah, tacos, burritos, yeah, toast, avocado toast. Just avocado by itself.
What?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh, that'll be
Okay.
like cut it right in half, eat it.
Okay, we were getting along so well, and then you had to throw the avocado in the mix, Jill. I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it. It's your favorite.
Okay.
Where's your favorite place to travel, or like if you could travel anywhere, like what's your next dream travel place?
Yeah, well, I have two favorite places to travel to, but my number one most favorite place to travel to is Maui. It is the heart chakra
Oh,
of our planet, and I love Maui. It's my favorite place.
okay. So tell us more. When you say it's the heart chakra of our planet, what does that mean?
Well, how I had said, like, our planet or Earth is ascending. Well,
Yeah.
she also has chakras. So her heart chakra is Maui. It's Mount
Oh, that's
Haleakala.
amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It's weird because my kid was just talking about the Hawaiian Islands, and the largest mountain in the world is actually a volcano that's under the ground in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
So I
That's
was
so
like, yeah,
cool.
I don't know. We were just talking about Hawaii. Okay, what about your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Mm. And I listened to this on your podcast. You start decorating kind of early. Is
Really?
that true?
Oh, yes. Look, if we had it my way, that tree would be up November 1st. But technically, you got to take down all the Halloween stuff, and then you've got to do the whole clean and then get everything out. But yeah, 100% early. I love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday.
I love it. Like I said, my Alex's grandmother has passed away, so his sister has all her Christmas things, and she won't put them away. I was like, "Have you put your Christmas tree down yet?" She's like, "No, because then Grandma goes away, and I'm not going to do it. So I'm
Oh.
probably just going to keep it up all year, and then when you come to my house in the summer, my Christmas tree is still going to be up." So I'm like, "Well, you do you, boo. Totally fine." What about animals? Do animals come and give you messages? Do you get signs or synchronicities from animals by any chance?
Oh, totally, totally. So, hummingbird, very connected with a
Oh,
hummingbird. Yeah.
love that. I love that. That's actually the logo of my friend's nonprofit is a hummingbird.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so cute. Um, what about this is what you do for a living, that you're an intuitive coach. What's your favorite thing about being an intuitive coach?
Oh, I love this. My favorite thing about being an intuitive coach is seeing their transformations and when they
Mm,
finally discover and really start to own their personal power and they can see just how powerful they are. And
yeah.
them waking up to that is really, really cool and special.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Without saying anybody's clients or names, do you have examples of how that works? Like types of things that people are now able to do and stand in their power? Any of those transformation stories you could share a little tidbit of?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, just from some students who go, yeah, I really want to I don't teach I'm not a business coach. I can teach you energy and all the stuff behind what you do, but I don't actually teach like this is how you start a business. I don't do that. But I'll get students who are entrepreneurs and they're like they want to create a business, they want to do something, and they get really in their heads. And they
Yeah.
have these beliefs of like I'll go back to like I'm not good enough. I don't know if I can do this. And when I start to take them through the journey of what we do inside my program, they start to realize that's just not true. It's just a belief. It's a lie they've been telling themselves. And so when they are given the tools to let that go, they realize letting go was never a loss. It's just
Yeah.
returning to who they really are. And then they activate that power and they start to create. And then they go out and do the things they want to do. And they do it with so much more confidence in themselves because they realize, I'm the creator. Oh my gosh, I'm creating my reality. It's been me the entire time.
That's
So
right.
it's like they go from, I don't want to say victimhood, but like the world's out to get me to all of a sudden the world is reflecting me and I'm really the one creating it.
Oh, that's a beautiful way to say that, Jill. The world is reflecting me.
Mm-hmm.
That is just so profound. I have never heard it said in that exact way. And I think that's so beautiful. It's like what you put out into the world is being reflected to you, like the way you're showing up and believing in yourself and putting your authenticity out into the world is being reflected back in you.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that's what I think you meant by that.
That's exactly 100%.
Perfect. Okay. What brings you profound joy?
Oh, being with my family, traveling, and even just running my business. A lot of things bring me lots of joys. I have got a long
Good.
list.
Love it.
And uh, yeah, my family's a big one.
Oh, I love
That
that.
walking the spiritual path brings me so much joy and lights me up as well because it's a discovery. I'm learning
Yeah.
all the time, and that's what I like to do.
I think that's so pretty and a good way for us to kind of wrap this podcast too, because it really is a journey, and I think part of the reason I love talking to people like you is that I get to see people's paths and their journeys, and that it's not an I've arrived in a destination. It's this process of continuing to align to your highest self and
Yeah.
continue to grow into who you're meant to be in a way.
Oh, totally.
I
Totally.
love that. What advice would you give somebody that's trying to awaken this spiritual side of who they are? If you could say, you know what, I'm just going to give you one piece of advice, or if I can tell you one or two things, this is what I would tell you.
Yeah, the number one thing I would say is you're a spiritual being having a human being experience, which means you're already spiritual, you're already intuitive. It's about now tuning inwards, not externally. And so if you can just focus on the things that light you up, they don't just light you up for some random reason. That's your higher self connecting with you. And it's, again, not something you reach for, it's already within you. So you always have access to it. That'd be my number one, just
Oh,
to get you started.
that's beautiful. I just love it. It has been so fun to talk to you and visit with you. How can people work with you, follow you? In what ways do you serve and help people? Like, how can people find their way to you if they were like, oh, Jill, loved her, want to talk to her
Oh, thank
more?
you. Yeah. So you can come hang out with me over on Instagram at Jill_Foubister, or you can check out my podcast, the Intuitive Frequency Podcast. And then my signature coaching program is Raise Your Vibration. So it's JillTrainings.com. And that's where I help my students increase their frequency, which really is the only way to strengthen your intuition and manifest faster.
Love it. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for showing up and visiting with us.
Yeah.
And thank you, everybody, for listening to the Mediums podcast and my interview with Jill Foubister. She is just extraordinary. I'm so grateful that you came on with me. And so, as always, rate, share, subscribe. Let's keep growing our community of awakened podcast listeners. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. That was so fun.